Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to another one of my Death Battle prediction videos. So today we're going to be predicting the Season 5 finale of Death Battle, which was revealed at the end of Roshi vs. Jiraiya to be Thanos vs. Darkseid. Now, I'm personally really excited for this fight. For those of you guys that don't know, Thanos vs. Darkseid is like my second most wanted fight to happen on Death Battle in general, right after Galactus vs. Unicron. And I think we all knew that this fight was coming eventually, but now it feels so weird that it's actually here, but weird in such a great way. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, and now that it's finally here, it just feels awesome. I like to think of myself as a fan of both of the characters, probably a little more so Thanos than Darkseid, but I still really like both of them, and I'm really excited for this Death Battle. In general, I just like the Marvel vs. DC fights. This is actually a fight that I've already done on my own versus show, Who'd Win and Why. That video did come out quite a while ago, but it is still one that I did. That's only happened 3 other times in Death Battle before, where one of my videos later became a Death Battle. The first one was Batman Beyond vs. Spider-Man 2099, second one was Black Panther vs. Batman, and third one was Crash vs. Spyro. And my conclusions for those 3 fights ended up being the same conclusions that Death Battle came to, which is awesome. You know, that means that I really haven't been proven wrong, at least from their standards. And I really hope that that doesn't happen again. And for those of you wondering, my conclusion or my answer to the question, you know, who would win Thanos versus Darkseid, is the same right now as it was in that video, but that video came out quite a while ago, and I do believe that I have quite a bit of different reasoning for it. But it is still the same as what I said in that video before, and I will try my best to explain why I feel that this character would beat this character. Another thing that I want to get out of the way is that I'm going to assume that these characters don't have any of their OP weapons or abilities or anything like that, which means I'm going to assume that Thanos doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet or the Heart of Darkness or anything like that, and I'm going to assume that Darkseid doesn't have the anti-life equation, although I'm not sure if they're going to include that or not, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to include the Infinity Gauntlet or the Heart of Darkness, because that stuff, if they did include that, then Thanos would automatically win. Like, that's just not fair to Darkseid. It's not really a fight worth debating, because the Infinity Gauntlet and the Heart of Darkness are basically, nigh omnipotent weapons. And again, that's just not fair. Darkseid obviously can't compete with that at all. So yeah, that's me there. I'm going to from this moment forward, I'm going to assume and base my prediction off of the fact that they're not going to have them. That's just my assumption. I'm not sure if they confirmed it or not, but again, that just seems the most likely and the most fair to me, that they're not going to use them. And again, if they do use them, then obviously my prediction goes to Thanos. But now let me get into my prediction for what happens if they don't use them. So in that video, my Who, When, and Why video, and this video, I do personally think that Darkseid is going to be the winner of this Death Battle. And if you think that Thanos would win this fight, then that's awesome. I totally understand. Thanos is definitely no one to mess with. Neither is Darkseid, but Thanos is definitely no one to mess with, and he's very powerful in his own right, even without stuff like the Infinity Gauntlet. And so I totally understand where you're coming from, and I could definitely be missing a few things. Plus, I know there are some people who watch my videos that do think that Thanos is going to win, and that's perfectly fine. However, I do, from what I know, from the limited stuff that I know, I do think that Darkseid would win if they didn't use their more powerful artifacts or abilities or anything like that. And I will try my best to go into detail for why, and if any of you find any holes in my logic, or if you have anything else you want to bring up, feel free to tell me in the comments below, because I just want to learn more about these characters, and if I'm wrong, then I want to know why I'm wrong. So yeah, that's just me there. But anyway, let's get into this. I'm going to try to go into as much detail as possible with the different categories. Let's get started. One thing, though, that I want to say first is that with these 2 characters, it's a little hard to try to get, like, concrete numbers for them, or even just, like, any sort of amazing feats in general, because a lot of their most notable feats actually come from scaling. It comes from a lot of who they fought. Like Darkseid has fought characters like Superman and Doomsday and characters like that. Thanos has fought characters like Thor and Hulk. So they have more, especially like in stuff in terms of strength and speed. What we have to base their stats off of is more, who they fought rather than what they've done. At least from what I know of, they don't have an overwhelming amount of concrete feats of their own. A lot of it just comes from scaling, which obviously is not ideal in these kinds of versus debates. And I'm sure Death Battle could find a lot of feats that they actually have done, but for me, who doesn't know everything about every single character, I I don't know a lot of their own feats, but I'm still going to try my best to try to work my way through it. So let's start off with strength. So obviously they've both fought extremely strong characters that have been able to stand up to and even overpower very heavy hitters of their own respective universes. Like, Thanos has been able to beat Hulk and Thor before, or, at least stand up to them in terms of strength, usually even overpowering them in terms of strength, I believe. And both of them are pretty solidly planet busters at bare minimum, with their own raw strength alone, which is insane. If Thanos is able to stand up to that, even without the power of the Infinity Gauntlet, that's really impressive. And Darkseid has been able to fight characters like Superman and Doomsday and the Monitor and Anti-Monitor and Wonder Woman and very, very strong characters. However, of course, there's that whole thing about, how much power does Superman have at this time, because, his power fluctuates based on how much solar energy he's got stored up. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that both of them have fought ridiculously strong characters. One of the big differences, though, and I'll get into this more later, is that it seems like Darkseid usually tends to beat the more powerful characters more often. Like, he beats Superman way more often than Superman beats him. But I'll get more into that later. The main point that I'm trying to make here is that, both of them obviously have fought very powerful characters. However, it does look like Darkseid actually has a couple of feats of his own that do put him ahead of what Thanos is capable of, at least in my opinion. Two feats that Darkseid has that really put him ahead of Thanos, in my opinion, is there was one time where he broke a Green Lantern ring with his bare hands, which is really impressive. Like, I don't know exactly how much force it takes to break a Green Lantern ring. I'm not sure if that's actually quantifiable at all, but I'm assuming that's just the kind of thing that you're not supposed to be able to do with raw strength. There was also another feat that I read that, like, apparently he broke the strongest metal in the DC universe easily with one hand. I'm not sure if they're referring to the same feat there, but regardless whether or not they are, that still just shows how strong he is. But arguably more impressively is that he was able to hold down an entire plane of reality with his raw strength alone, which easily puts him at, like, universal level, or maybe just close to universal level. But being able to hold down an entire plane of reality, that's, again, about universal level, a universal level of raw strength, which is something that I don't think Thanos is able to compete with unless he has something like the Power Gem or something like that, that gives him virtually unlimited strength. On his own, while he is very strong, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to underestimate Thanos or anything, he is still ridiculously strong, even without the Infinity Gauntlet, but I don't think we've seen him show any sort of direct displays of universal strength like that on his own. And if I recall correctly, that plane of reality feat that Darkseid has, that was New 52 Darkseid, which is supposedly a significantly weaker version of Darkseid from, like, say, post-Crisis. And because Death Battle likes to use these characters at their maximum potential, it's very reasonable to believe that Darkseid actually has more strength than that. So, in my opinion, just based on that stuff, I do believe that Darkseid is physically stronger than Thanos. Maybe Thanos does have a feat like that I'm just missing, but based on what I know, I just feel that Darkseid has shown more direct feats of why he's such a huge threat, on his own. He's shown more direct feats of this, the universal level, it looks like. Whereas Thanos, a lot of it, more so, I feel, than Darkseid, comes from scaling, and even with that, I don't think that puts him at a universal level on his own. And maybe the plane of reality feat doesn't even put Darkseid on a universal level, but I do think that it puts him on a higher level than Thanos in terms of strength. And Thanos could probably, keep up with the strength for a while. He's still ridiculously strong, but I still think that Darkseid has a pretty prominent advantage in that category. Alright, that's just me anyway. Again, if you want to, leave any comments proving me wrong or anything, go right ahead. Next, let's move on to speed. I'm not going to waste any time here. I'm not really sure who has the speed advantage in this, because this one especially, a lot of it comes from scaling. Like, Thanos has fought ridiculously fast characters like Thor and Silver Surfer, and we know that Silver Surfer, he's fast enough, I believe, to, cross half of the universe in a few minutes or something like that, which puts him ridiculously fast, and supposedly he can fight at least close to the speed that he travels on his board, because, the power of Cosmic is inside him. So, yeah, that's really fast, and again, we know Thor is ridiculously fast as well, and, that puts Thanos, from experience at a very high speed. Again, we haven't really seen any sort of, I don't believe we've seen any sort of amazing speed feat from Darkseid alone. Maybe we have. I remember in Ultron versus Sigma, they pulled out this random speed feat for Ultron, where he crossed the galaxy or whatever in some hours or whatever that put him at like 200,000 times the speed of light. Maybe they can find something like that for either Thanos or Darkseid, but again, based on what I know, I don't know about any of those feats, so I can't really do anything about that. But Darkseid has also fought ridiculously fast characters like Superman and Wonder Woman and Spectre, and when it comes to the Flash, it's a little hard to say because it's a little inconsistent. Sometimes he's able to hit the Flash, sometimes he's not. However, again, if Death Battle's using them at their maximum potential, there are times where Darkseid has been able to tag the Flash. So by experience, that does put him ridiculously fast, at least in terms of reaction. Both of I know that it's been explicitly stated that Darkseid can react within microseconds. However, based on what we've seen him do by experience, I think it's pretty safe to say that he can go faster than that. And I would say the same for Thanos. I don't think it's been explicitly stated that Thanos can react within microseconds, but again, based on what he's been able to do and how he's been able to keep up with Silver Surfer in combat, I think it's pretty clear that he's well above that point, just like Darkseid. And again, it's hard to say about Superman. Is he able to go as 100%? Because, how much solar energy does he have? It's really hard to say. And we know that Silver Surfer is ridiculously fast. And Darkseid isn't always able to tag the Flash, supposedly. So, yeah, maybe I want to give a very slight edge to Thanos on this one, but I'm really not sure. I'm really not confident in saying that because I could just be missing something big. So, yeah, that's me there. Regardless, though, I do think that there's really no outclassment here at all. I think both of them are very capable of keeping up with each other in terms of speed. And both of them do have teleportation as well, so that also adds to the speed thing. But yeah, there's really no noticeable difference, at least not from what I can tell. Now let's talk about durability. Both of them are supposedly nigh invulnerable, or just borderline invulnerable. I'm not sure. I don't think it's impossible to hurt either of them, but you got to be packing some real firepower if you want to be able to hurt either of these guys. Again, these guys are able to take hits. Thanos is able to take hits from Hulk and Thor. He was even able to take, I believe, like a huge energy blast from Galactus or something like that, or a huge attack from Galactus. It did severely damage him, but he was still able to take it, which is amazing. That durability is something that you don't mess with. Galactus is ridiculously powerful. He's not an omnipotent being or anything like that, but as far as non-omnipotent beings go, he's pretty high up there. So yeah, that's already ridiculously impressive. However, Darkseid also has some ridiculously impressive durability feats. He's able to take hits from characters like Doomsday and Superman and Spectre is literally the physical embodiment of God's vengeance. Also the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, and if you guys don't know who Anti-Monitor is, he's kind of like the DC version of Galactus, kind of, sorta. That's putting it in layman's terms. There's definitely more to him than just that. And obviously Darkseid's weak to Radion, but I don't think that's really going to, kind of like how Superman's weak to Kryptonite, but I don't really think that's going to come much into play into this fight. However, one thing that's really noticeable, though, is that, kind of what I said at the beginning, a lot of Darkseid's fights, he seems to win. He's beat virtually every character that I listed. For what I know for sure, he definitely beats Superman way more than Superman beats him. That's just a fact. He's usually a character that's considered physically stronger and tougher than Superman. There's also, the fact that he did beat the Anti-Monitor. And again, not really Marvel's version of Galactus, DC's version of Galactus, kinda, sorta. But still, the point is, if he's able to beat someone like that, then you're really freaking strong. He was also able to beat the Spectre. He's able to beat all of these ridiculously powerful characters. And yes, Thanos has fought and beaten very powerful characters, but, in terms of fighting Galactus, he never actually beat Galactus, I don't think, without anything like the Infinity Gauntlet or prep time or anything like that. Just a random encounter, or like the closest thing to a random encounter that you can come up with. Thanos, he's able to survive at least one of Galactus's attacks, but he's not actually able to beat him. Whereas Darkseid, all of these heavy hitters, he's able to beat virtually all of them and take hits from all of them. This just shows how much of a punch he's packing, how much he can take and how much he can dish out. But the biggest thing is that apparently, in order to put Darkseid down for good, you need, the only thing that was able to put Darkseid down for good was the Source Wall. And if you don't know what the Source Wall is, and if you don't know, I don't blame you, the Source Wall is supposedly one of the most powerful entities in the DC universe. altogether. Like, we're talking like presence level of power, and presence is literally the god of the DC universe, the DC's version of the one above all. So yeah, that's ridiculous. You know, if something like the Source Wall is what it takes to put you down, I personally don't see Galactus being able to overcome that durability, even with the power that he has, which we're going to get into in just a sec. And I definitely don't believe that Thanos has the durability to stack up to Darkseid's level of durability. Like, again, those kinds of universal level feats, Thanos really only has with the Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos' best feats do come from the Infinity Gauntlet, which I know has been overstated so many times, but it is kind of true. So yeah, that's me there for that. And I just don't really see Thanos being able to overpower that kind of durability that Darkseid has. Darkseid's strength and durability has been ridiculous. It's been ridiculous recently, you know, like with the Source Wall, the kind of Source Wall durability and the Plane of Reality strength. Again, without the Infinity Gauntlet, I just don't see Thanos being able to stack up to that. And again, you know, if you're able to beat characters like Superman and Spectre, who's like, again, the physical embodiment of God's vengeance, and the Anti-Monitor and Monitor, you know, you're definitely really strong and tough. And I do personally think that with those scaling feats, along with, you know, the Source Wall feat, you know, especially when compared to like the Galactus feat that Thanos has, I do think that Darkseid is more durable. Again, maybe I'm missing a feat for Thanos, and again, tell me in the comments below if I am, but that's just the way I see it. Darkseid's strength and durability is just more on a universal and ridiculous level than Thanos is, at least when it comes to Thanos without the Infinity Gauntlet. Now, when it comes to power, this one is a tricky one, this category, simply because, you know, Thanos was able, I believe with his power, he was able to knock Galactus off of his feet. Again, coming back to Galactus. I forget whether or not this was with the Infinity Gauntlet, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that it wasn't. And then when it comes to Darkseid, Darkseid has his Omega Beams. And if you guys don't know what that are, they're basically beams that shoot out of his eyes that supposedly never miss their target, and they're capable of erasing anything from existence. And you know, they're not, or like virtually anything. There are some things that some people that have been able to survive the Omega Beams, but those characters like Spectre, who have been able to survive the Omega Beams, are still severely damaged after a single hit, a single direct hit. So yeah, that means that he's definitely packing some real power there. And you know, not Galactus, Thanos, I don't believe has anything like that, where he can just shoot a beam and it just erases someone from existence. And maybe it wouldn't, or maybe you could make the argument that Thanos is one of those characters that would be able to survive the Omega Beams, but regardless, if they do hit him, and they most likely will, you know, Thanos could dodge for a while, but I don't think he'd be able to avoid them. There's virtually no one that can avoid them. You know, even Flash was hit by them. You know, but like, I just don't think that he'd still be severely damaged by them regardless, you know, and that's assuming that they don't just disintegrate him, that they don't just take him away from existence. So again, in that reserve, in that power, you know, Darkseid definitely has a lot of that. It's kind of even like cheating, like in terms of their 9 vulnerability. Because of that, both of them are definitely going to have a hard time damaging each other with raw strength alone. But when you look at this, you know, with the Omega Beams, that's almost kind of like a cheat for Darkseid. Like, that's the easiest way for one character to kill the other. Both of them are very strong and very tough, which will make it hard for them to damage the other, but only Darkseid has something that can just, like, take you away from the snap, kind of like Thanos. No, but sorry, but like, yeah, only Darkseid has that kind of ability, I feel, that can just erase someone from existence in one shot, which does give him the advantage here. And especially, you know, considering that he has the strength and durability advantage already, I still feel that all of this combined does put Thanos at a huge disadvantage when it comes to a one-on-one fight. And when it comes to intellect, this one is kind of weird because both of them are extremely intelligent. I want to say that Thanos is probably smarter because his intelligence is measured more by what he doesn't know than what he does. So when it comes to characters that aren't omniscient, he's really, really smart. Like, he's basically at the top. And I know that Darkseid is extremely smart as well, but I don't think it's been explicitly stated that he can do anything like that he has that kind of intellect. When it comes to battle strategy, however, I might want to give a slight edge to Darkseid, simply because he takes a very slow and analytical approach. He always keeps his cool during a fight, and he's always analyzing his opponent, and Thanos does the same as well, but he is slightly more prone to lash out and, lose his cool during a fight. And I feel like, if Thanos does ever get the upper hand in a fight, it would eventually come down to the point where he does lose control, and, Darkseid could use this to regain the advantage, assuming that Darkseid loses the advantage at all. And because of his slow analytical approach, I do believe that he could be able to exploit the weaknesses that Thanos is showing. But that's just my opinion. And there is one more category, which is versatility, and I do believe that Darkseid takes this category as well. Both of them are extremely versatile. Like, when it comes to Thanos, the abilities that I haven't listed yet, he's got flight, telepathy, telekinesis. I believe he has mind control, psionic possession. He's also got, what else? He's got matter manipulation, energy manipulation. He's a skilled unarmed combatant. He's got teleportation, as I mentioned before. He's also got, I believe, a healing factor on the off chance that he is damaged, because again, Thanos is still ridiculously durable. And I do believe he has some other abilities out there, but the point that I'm trying to make is that Darkseid basically has all of these abilities and more. As I mentioned before, he's got his Omega Beams. He's also got his Omega Effect, which is like his own unique form of cosmic energy that allows him to like break through barriers and force fields, and it's basically the source of a lot of his special abilities. And what else does he have? He also has molecular dispersion. He's got size alteration. He's got resurrection, chronokinesis, which is basically manipulating one's perception of time. He also supposedly exists outside of space and time. He's also, I believe he's also got he's got a stronger resistance to mental attacks. He's also got erosion, I think like erosion blasts or something like that. He's also got, like I said, he's got teleportation. He's got, I know there's more. I remember this. I made a list. But yeah, the point is, and he's got, power distribution, and mind control, psionic possession. Again, like all of this on top of what I mentioned for Thanos. So I do feel that Darkseid is the more versatile combatant, and he does have more tricks to pull out, and that just makes him more unpredictable. And yeah, that's basically what I see for these characters. And the way I see it is, Darkseid's stats, supposedly, it's been stated that Darkseid's stats put him at a literal god. In the context of the DC universe, being a god is really, really tough. And that is what he's supposedly considered. And these are from his physical stats alone, which we've already shown, are like universal level or near universal level. So yeah, just to recap, I guess, what I feel is that they're about even in terms of speed. Thanos might have a slight advantage, but I feel like there's really nothing huge to pull off of, or nothing huge to go off of. They're also pretty even in terms of intellect and battle strategy, but you could have some advantages here and there. But I do feel that Darkseid does hold significant advantages in strength, durability, power, and versatility. That's just me. Again, Thanos is still ridiculously powerful, and I'm not trying to underestimate him or anything like that, but I do personally feel that Darkseid has the advantage in most categories when it comes to Thanos without the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, those kind of universal feats Thanos definitely has when he has the Infinity Gauntlet, and definitely far above that, but I don't think that he can really stack up to those kinds of feats on his own. And again, this isn't to say that Darkseid, on his own has the same power as Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. That's definitely not true. Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet is way above Darkseid, even with the anti-life equation. And Thanos would definitely beat Darkseid if that's the way they're going about this death battle. But if they go about the death battle without using these things, I do feel that Darkseid would be the winner of this fight. I feel like he has more direct feats that we can go off of, at least from what I know. Maybe, again, Death Battle can find some direct feats for Thanos. I'm sure they will. But based on what I know, at least, I do feel that Darkseid is just stronger, more durable, more powerful, and more versatile. And I feel that all of that does add up, and it will, culminate into Thanos' undoing. Especially with those Omega Beams, being able to just erase someone from existence in one shot, that definitely allows him to get past Thanos' ridiculous durability. That's just me, though. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Thanos will win? Do you think that Darkseid will win? Let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this video, please give this video a huge like. I always appreciate the likes. Comment down what you thought of it, what you thought of the fight, or what you think is going to happen to the fight, what you thought of the video, anything like that. And if you guys could subscribe to my channel, that'd be so great. That would really help my channel out. I would love to have you guys along for the ride. I do death battle predictions for death battles that I'm interested in. And also, I also have my own versus show called Who'd Win and Why. But no matter what you do. Your view is plenty of contribution. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you think that Thanos wins, that's great. Tell me why in the comments below. If you think that Darkseid wins, that's great too. Tell me in the comments below. My money's on Darkseid, but I want to know what you guys think. And I want to know if you guys can prove me wrong on any of this or add anything else, because I'd really like to hear. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. And I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.